I want to tell you his story. When his wife died of COVID, John and his family obeyed the Prime Minister's rules. He didn't see her in hospital. He didn't hold her hand as she died. Their daughters and grandchildren drove 100 miles up the motorway, clutching a letter from the funeral director in case they were questioned by the police. They didn't have a service in the church. John's son-in-law stayed away because he would have been the forbidden seventh mourner. Doesn't the Prime Minister realise that John would have given the world to hold his dying wife's hand, even if it was just for 9 minutes? But he didn't, because he followed the Prime Minister's rules. Rules that we now know the Prime Minister blithely, repeatedly and deliberately ignored. After months of insulting excuses, today's half-hearted apology will never be enough for John Robinson. If the Prime Minister had any respect for John and the millions like him who sacrificed everything to follow the rules, he'd resign. But he won't, because he doesn't respect John. He doesn't respect the sacrifice of the British public. He is a man without shame. Looking past the member for Lichfield and the nodding dogs in the cabinet, there are many decent, honourable members on the benches opposite who do respect John Robinson, who do respect the British public. They know the damage.
Starmer believed the shadows would protect him, that no eyes were watching and no record remained, but he miscalculated. Every frame, every whisper, now fuels a storm he cannot contain. The man who sold himself as the champion of integrity is facing the harshest exposure of his career. Secret footage, revealed by comedian Jim Davidson, captured a moment that shook even his closest circle, turning private turmoil into public spectacle. This is more than politics, it's a personal unraveling, a party in disarray, and a nation gripping its seats as the fallout spreads. While mainstream outlets hold their tongues, chaos reigns within Labour, and the public is loud in their demand for accountability. Every attempt to suppress the truth only fans the fire. What began as another quiet night in Westminster has erupted into a crisis with no retreat, no concealment, and no forgetting.
And for some reason, even though she was nowhere to be seen during the run-up to the election, Keir Starmer's taken Mrs. Starmer, Victoria Starmer, who's said to be a very private person, not really interested in politics. Oh, isn't that funny? Now that they're going to Washington, she's very interested in politics. I'm just asking the question, why on earth is he taking the missus? It's a work trip. What's she going to tell the NATO bosses? Is she going to say, oh yeah, I work in the NHS. I come from an NHS family. You know, I'm a very clever woman. I'm coming with Sir Keir Starmer because he never leaves my side. It's all a bit weird, isn't it?
It was another late-night, invitation-only comedy set, the kind of hidden stage where the powerful laugh behind locked doors, far from the people they profess to serve. But that evening, the script shattered. Jim Davidson, a veteran who's witnessed it all and has nothing left to lose, stepped up, and silence fell. No punchlines, no setup, just a revelation. He'd seen the secret CCTV footage from Lord Wad Ali's private office, and the truth hung in the air, heavy and undeniable.
Now, if your position is that, well, these things happen and we should be thoughtful and flexible in our response, that's fine. But if, like Keir Starmer, you have been really aggressive in your criticism of Conservatives for this, then you've got to make sure that you are totally above reproach. And he has failed to do that. And so I think it's absolutely legitimate that we point out the hypocrisy of someone who basically got his job by criticising others for what he is now doing.
That's all a bit strong. When you say exactly this, you're not comparing the failure to declare some closed with Partygate or Matt Hancock's behaviour or Tractorgate, are you? You're not seriously saying this is in the same category of transgression.
So the point is, Keir Starmer has said over and over again that, there is no flexibility, this is what you have to do, and he's failed to do it. And we are highlighting his hypocrisy, which I think is now showing a pattern of behaviour, the disregard he has got when we look at the
hypocrisy or just incompetence. There's another explanation, which is incompetence on the part of somebody in his office.
Neither of which is a good look when you're seeking to run the country. So this is not just a one-off. We have got donors hosting, indeed, the same donor, holding a pass to Downing Street for no particular reason, organising thank you parties on the government estate. We've got people running around the Department of Health, lobbyists who make money from understanding the inner workings of government, running around the department without a pass.
You're referring to the former Health Secretary, Alan Milburn.
A whole load of other donors and supporters getting
I think you would
passes.
contest that description, by the way.
Getting passes as clearly a thank you. And the Labour government have been very critical of us, and we can discuss how valid those criticisms are, but this hypocrisy is being felt. It's being brought up with me when I knock on doors.
And in that footage, Starmer wasn't attending a meeting or exchanging pleasantries. He was caught in a situation so explosive it threatened not just reputations, but entire careers. Davidson held nothing back, naming names and recounting what he saw with unflinching clarity. There was no laughter, no relief, only stunned silence. For a fleeting moment, some hoped it was a joke. It wasn't. Within hours, whispers turned into messages, messages into screenshots, and screenshots into leaks that set all of Westminster ablaze. The Labour leader, once the poster of clean politics and moral authority, now found himself engulfed in a scandal darker, messier, and more devastating than anything the political world had witnessed in years.
I think if anyone in the Labour Party needed a couple of £100 from Lord Ali, it's David Lammy to get some new shoes. The black training shoes he went over to America in, where I thought was a disgrace. I think Nigel's right. I think it's a terrible look. It doesn't matter. It's just an awful look. He's taken 300 knicker off nearly 1 million pensioners this winter. And I'm sure that his glasses were more than 300 knicker. I'm sure that his wife's outfit were more than 300 quid. I just think it looks terrible, whether he's followed the protocol to the letter or whether he hasn't.
He hasn't.
It's awful.
Let's listen to David Lammy trying to defend him earlier today.
In our country, there isn't a budget for the Prime Minister's clothes or his wife's job. I've just come back from America, where there is a substantial budget to ensure that the US President and the First Lady, their appearance can never be challenged. That is not the case in our country.
Oh, right, so 93 grand and all the benefits isn't enough to buy your own clothes. Really? I mean, whilst taking money from pensioners, and those with the broadest shoulders should carry the heaviest burden. That's what they've said. But yet there they are.
That excuse just doesn't hold any water. And also, GB News played an earlier clip where Mr. Lammy was saying that Lord Ali is self-made. So what?
I heard that,
What's that got to do with the fact that a multi-millionaire is throwing cash at the Prime Minister's wardrobe, his wife's wardrobe, and at the Prime Minister's eye furniture, and the Prime Minister's decent suits? I'm not going to say Savile Row. I don't know where he gets them made. But if they are tailored suits, they're not off the peg at Marks and Spencer's. And you can look smart in a £250 Marks and Spencer's suit. It doesn't have to be £2,500.
Well, they've got a lot of money and they get paid well.
He's minted.
Subsidised bars. He's already a millionaire.
Starmer believed the shadows would shield him, that no eyes were watching and no cameras were rolling, but he was catastrophically wrong. CCTV footage revealed by Jim Davidson has plunged him into a storm that is both political and deeply personal. Allegedly caught in a compromising encounter with Lord Ali, his private world collapsed instantly. His wife reportedly walked out, leaving stunned onlookers, while whispers exploded into texts, screenshots, and leaks that spread like wildfire across Westminster. Labour scrambled, issuing denials and cease and desist orders, claiming the footage was fabricated and desperately trying to scrub every trace online. Davidson, unflinching, doubled down. I know what I saw, making any attempt to bury the truth futile. Sources now reveal a pattern of secret late-night meetings between Starmer and Lord Ali, undocumented, off the record, with no staff, no press, and no official minutes, raising urgent questions about influence, favours, donations, and far more. Even anonymous Labour MPs admit the breach of trust is seismic, with some insisting there may be no path to recovery. Leaked documents reveal a surge of anonymous donations funneled through shell groups linked to Lord Ali, often landing just before abrupt policy reversals, backtracking on public ownership, softening green initiatives, or reversing long-standing commitments. The pattern hints at a hidden political strategy, one that could explain decisions that leave the party's base bewildered. At the same time, Starmer's personal life is unraveling with equal force. Witnesses report his wife left in shock, and divorce lawyers were reportedly contacted by noon the following day. What was once a quiet, elite Westminster circle has erupted into one of the year's most explosive scandals. Social media and private channels buzz with insiders breaking ranks, demanding answers, while Labour's desperate attempts to control the narrative, legal threats, claims the footage is fake, and frantic deletion efforts only fan the flames. The more they try to bury the story, the faster it spreads. Starmer, whose career was built on an image of integrity and meticulous control, now faces a reckoning that threatens to shatter both his personal and political world. This isn't just a scandal, it's a full-scale collapse, and the stakes have never been higher. The revelations strike at the heart of political integrity, influence, and accountability, with a public now watching in record numbers while the party's silence speaks louder than any statement ever could. Starmer's team isn't denying the meetings, they're dodging the questions that matter. Why were these late-night sessions hidden? Why no staff, no press, no records? What was exchanged, favors, influence, or something far graver? The political stakes are immense. Anonymous insiders suggest Lord Ollie quietly controlled key funding and donor networks behind Starmer's rise, shaping major policy shifts in ways that could devastate credibility if fully exposed. What began as a private comedy stage revelation has exploded into a full-blown crisis. Social media spreads the story at lightning speed, mainstream outlets largely remain silent, and Labour scrambles with legal threats and narrative control, but the truth is beyond containment. This is no rumor, it's a saga of secrecy, influence, and betrayal, and at Westminster, the fire is lit, the fallout has only just begun.